All right, YouTube, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. It is Wednesday, August 14th. We have a full MLB slate to dive into in today's video, like we always do. We're going to go through each and every one of these games. I'm going to give you my lean on the side. I'll give you my lean on the total. We'll talk about any other plays, like player props that we like within the game as well. But as always, all of my final plays, so I'm actually rolling with myself. If you do want to fade me, all of my plays are going to be in the pinned comment. In terms of last night, from a recap perspective, there was a sweeping. But we're on the dustpan end of it. It's been a while since we had to whip out this graphic with the big L on the forehead and us in the dustpan. But sometimes you're the sweeper, sometimes you're the dustpan. Last night, we had 4 plays on the board. We go 0-4. One play was a half unit, so 3.5 units down. But that is a kick in the you-know-what. And I still taste the dust. Let's be better tonight. Can't hide from it, just have to own it. And that's a pretty good way of owning it. We stunk last night. Not very good look. Some were close, but I'm not here to sit and be like, oh, we should have been blamed. No, 0-4 is 0-4, you know what I mean? Unfortunately, our ride of the day does not come through either. This is from Dennis, and now the soundboard is getting abused for all the negative reasons. We have to drop the womp womp here on Dennis. And it stinks because Kikuchi didn't even have a bad night. He just ended with, 5 strikeouts. So shout out to Dennis for the attempt at the ride of the day, a plus 115 play. If you guys don't know what the ride of the day is, all you have to use is that hashtag ride of the day in the comments. Give me your favorite play, and I'm jumping on board with one person's pick, giving you a shout out in the next video, win or loss. The way that I select the pick is by looking down in the comments, whichever comment has the most likes. So make sure while you're down there adding your ride of the day or hashtag ROTD, you guys are also liking other people's, just so we can all get some good plays out there, because I see plays in the comments all the time that I'm like, I wouldn't have thought of going that angle, and boom, it cashes, you know what I mean? So we can all admit that. So go ahead and check out those ride of the days in the comments and like the ones that you do like. But let's go ahead and jump into today's slate. Let's be a little bit better than yesterday. I didn't even feel like bad about that slate, you know what I mean? Looking back on it, maybe it wasn't the best slate, but that's gonna bother me until we secure a win again, which hopefully that is tonight. But guys, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. We're not trying to delete or hide any of our losses or anything like that. We're still having a great season overall, but tell you guys all the time, I consider myself an average sports gambler that gets a little bit lucky every now and then. Last night wasn't one of those times. So let's jump into game number 1 here. We have Minnesota taking on the Royals. So far in the series, it has been all Minnesota. They've won 8-3 and then 13-3. On the mound for Minnesota today, we have Louis Varland, who really hasn't had any good spots so far in his 6 or 7 games this year. Going up against Cole Reagans, who, he's actually had some decent spots against Minnesota a couple times earlier this year. He's looked okay. 6 innings pitched, 2 earned runs. 5 innings pitched, 2 earned runs. Both of those were back in, I want to say, one was way earlier in the year, the other one's a couple months ago. And he's looked okay, 2.2 ERA over his last 5 here. At home, he's a little bit better than he is on the road. And I do think that this is a Royals offense that just has to be chomping at the bit. Like, flashback a week and a half ago, and this team was cruising. Now they've had 3 runs in 2 games back-to-back and have gotten stomped. So I don't think that this could be a better spot for the Royals. I like them today, probably on the first 5. Minnesota does have a better bullpen than this team here, and they're fairly non-taxed because of how, much of these games have been blowaways in a sense. So I think I like Kansas City on the first 5 here, whether you want to go run line for some plus money or just go with the minus 110 or minus 115 for the the money line in the first 5. Both are fine by me. You have a Kansas City team that's batting .294 last 30 days against righties, WRC plus of 123. They're 5th and 3rd in OPS and slugging. So I expect them to get some runs today, or at least hope they do, because I think they are very much due for some scoring. So give me Kansas City here on the money line, but it would probably be first 5 because I don't want to play that bullpen game. In terms of a total, it's sitting at 8. Though I think Cole Reagans is going to have a decent game today, I still think this Twins offense is just clicking right now. So to me, this is probably a 5-4 game at minimum. I'll lean towards the over. I still like the Royals on the money line more than I do the over, but I could see the over being played today as well. And I know we're only 1 game in, but honestly, speaking of Cole Reagans, we do have a free square for new users over on Sleeper today. I have a link in the pinned comment. You're going to get this free square. It's also Wednesday. They do Wildcard Wednesday, meaning they offer discounts or protected picks and that types of thing. So very excited to see what they do with that. But you're also going to get 100% of your first deposit match. So check out the link in the pinned comment. I love Sleeper. They have more selections available. They have alternate lines available. They're adding more and more by the second. They now have flex plays available as of a month ago or so. So go ahead and check it out. One of my favorite favorite player prop apps out there. You get the Reagan Square, you get the deposit match, as well as whatever they do for Wildcard Wednesday. Again, first link in the pinned comment if you guys do want to check out Sleeper, one of my favorite player prop apps out there. I think it's the closest one to sort of resembling a true regulated sportsbook, which I really do like from an app like this, a DFS app. But let's go ahead and jump back into the slate here. Got Arizona taking on Colorado. On the mound for Arizona is going to be Jordan Montgomery going up against Tanner Gordon. Now, Arizona, we talked about in the comment section yesterday, and I don't think I mentioned in the video, but Arizona's lineup is a little bit different, right? They got a few guys missing here, but got a decent amount back here in this spot. They're going up against Tanner Gordon, who hasn't been all that great. And Arizona, in the last 30 days, 5th in average, 1st in WRC+, and then 1st in OPS, ISO, and slugging. So they scored 4 runs yesterday with kind of a little bit different of a lineup. I expect them to be able to kind of get back into what they were doing. And what I mean by what they were doing, 11 runs, 12 runs, 5 runs, 7 runs, 5 runs. Like, they were cruising. And they scored 4 yesterday. Don't get me wrong, like, they had a dud of a game, right? But Gomber didn't pitch all that poorly. I think he went like 6 innings or so. And Arizona scored 2 of their runs in the bottom of the 9th. So yeah, like it's not like they went off offensively. That's kind of what I mean by them returning to form. So I like their team total over. That's probably my first thought because, again, I mentioned Jordan Montgomery's on the mound. I don't trust him as far as I can throw him, and that's probably 2 inches. You know what I mean? So I really don't want to get behind Jordan Montgomery. I don't care if this Rockies offense kind of stinks against lefties or anything like that. It's still Jordan Montgomery to me, and that's a guy that can get shelled, even though he's had, I want to say he's had like 1 or 2 good starts in his recent history. But to me, could he have a good start against Colorado? Sure. Would I like to eliminate that variable and just say, hey, go get a bunch of runs, Diamondbacks? Way more. You know what I mean? That's definitely what I'm thinking of. So give me their over 4.5 for their team total here. I like that full game, you know, being able to go against one of the worst bullpens, if not the worst bullpen in the league in Colorado. Definitely beneficial to have all 9 of those innings. Like last night, they scored 2 late, right? So Arizona team total over. That's kind of how I would, the word we use here on the channel, which I don't think is a real word, hybridize the money line and total play. You know, it's kind of a mix of the two. It's a way to beat around the bush and get the result we want. So Arizona team total over is what we're going to roll with here. All right, San Diego taking on Pittsburgh. These are the types of things that drive me nuts. So I owned the 0-4 night last night and everything like that, right? But I'm also well aware that so many of the leans that I actually liked and talked about in yesterday's video end up hitting. But I can't take credit for those. I can't act like, oh, but the leans were great. Yeah, they are great for you guys and all that. But this is Ev's MLB picks, right? I'm not trying to give the best advice or anything like that. If you guys take what I say and use it to win, that's on you. You guys made that decision. It wasn't me. So I can't take credit for stuff that I didn't even place myself. But today, this was one of those games. We were like San Diego on the run line in the first 5. They win 2-0 after 5, 3-0 full game yesterday. Today we have Martin Perez on the mound going up against his old team, the Pirates. So I think this could be kind of interesting. Mitch Keller on the mound for Pittsburgh. In terms of how these guys have fared against these teams in the past, we have 66 plate appearances against the Padres roster for Keller, an average against of 220. Pretty good. Expected batting average against kind of jumps up a little bit to 260. And expected WOBA, not terrible at 306, and an actual WOBA of 227. So Mitch Keller looks like he could have a decent game today. Martin Perez, on the other hand, 70 plate appearances against this Pittsburgh team in his career. Not the team, I mean the roster, excuse me. 355 average against, a 388 WOBA, only a strikeout rate of 12%. So I don't think Perez is due for a really good spot. And this Pittsburgh team actually has been hitting lefties fairly well. Not necessarily lefties on the road, but within the last 30 days against lefties overall, 6th best average, 4th best WRC+, and they're top 5 in both on-base percentage and OPS, and top 5 in slugging as well. So there could be an angle to get to the Pirates today, and I do think for the price at plus 120, a team that's lost 9 straight, this could be the day that they do it. They're seeing a pitcher that, well, they know, but a pitcher that they've seen in the past against, not just when he was on their team, and have hit pretty well, and also he's going to throw a bunch of sinkers, right? That makes up half of his pitch arsenal. Pittsburgh, 12th in the last 30 days here when it comes to hitting that sinker. He throws the changeup as his number 2 pitch, 7th best. So they do bat his pitch mix pretty well. On the other hand, Mitch Keller's going to throw fastball, changeup, sinker. San Diego's hitting those pitches fairly well. I don't think they hit the sinker well, but they hit the fastball, the changeup, the cutter, all that pretty well too. But I'm just saying for the price tag here, I don't think I want a minus 142 behind Perez, right? So I think I lean towards Pittsburgh. Full game money line. First 5 money line, whatever you want to do. Do we have the nuts to get to the window and book it? Not exactly sure, but I do think that this is a team that's obviously due for a win. They've lost 9 straight, and they may have a pitching and a batting advantage today because they're going up against lefty. So keep that in mind, I guess, if you're rolling with it yourself. In terms of what we have for a total 8.5, I would say one of these offenses doesn't show up today. Pittsburgh, though I'm giving them credit against lefties, they're still kind of a shaky offense. And then the Padres, in terms of what we've seen out of them, like they've been scoring a bunch of runs as of late. Well, have they? Because in their last, the last 2 games, they've combined for 5 runs. Prior to that, so this series, they've combined for only 5 runs through 2 games. Prior to that, it was 6, 5, 7, 6, 8. Have they dropped off a little bit? Perhaps. I'm going to lean towards the under, but I think that the only value play, you want to use that word, would be considering Pittsburgh first 5 or full game money line for the plus money. Do I love it? No, but I think that this is more of a 50-50 game than we're kind of giving it credit for. All right, guys, let's jump into Outlier for a second because I do want to kind of break down that Martin Perez piece that we were talking about. So I'm on the player prop screen right now. If you guys don't know what Outlier is, 7-day free trial link in the pinned comment, my favorite player prop and just sports betting research tool out there. So go ahead and check it out again. 7 days free. But what I want to do here is go into Martin Perez, right? And we can kind of see how he's been doing. So we can go to strikeouts. Any of these stats will do. But what I want to look at down here is you can see this Pittsburgh lineup. You can go versus Martin Perez. Look at all of the green numbers. So this is them on the season, right? Versus Perez, you can see a bunch of these guys, their averages jump to green. Green means good, red means bad. Against lefties, we have a bunch of green as well, and they don't strike out all that much against it. Now, he's going to throw the sinker. Look at that. I said he throws a lot of sinkers. They hit it pretty damn well. We have 4 reds on the board, working at K percentage and weighted on base average WOBA, right? So this is their numbers. You go to sinker, everybody strikes out less against a sinker, and pretty much everybody on the team except for 4 guys here. Are they some decent names like Cruz and whatnot? Yes, but overall, I mean, you're looking at a team that should be able to hit the sinker pretty well. Even the cutter looks like it's pretty well, and you can see all of his pitch mix up here, right? The changeup, they hit it pretty well. When there's a lot of green on the board, I start to get a little bit scared of that pitcher. So if you want to look at something that maybe could fade Martin Perez, maybe that's the move. Under 17.5 outs. Last time he pitched against, he had 21. That was last year, right? But he's been crushing this number. The Pirates are due for a win, in my opinion, and he might be due for a little bit of regression. So I just wanted to give a quick shout out to Outlier there because it helps kind of look at those from a very visual perspective. Red means bad, green means good. So check out Outlier, guys, but that's kind of referencing the stats that I was saying when he goes up against these teams and the current guys on the roster and their careers against him. A lot of green for the Pirates here, so we'll see. I'm probably going to be wrong like I was yesterday, but you know what? At least we have the data and whatnot to back that play if we do end up rolling with it. All right, we got the Red Sox taking on the Rangers here. Red Sox now have taken 2 straight in this series, 1 in extras, and then yesterday 9-4. They just kind of kept scoring runs all game long there. And Cutter Crawford looked decent, right? 5 1/3. I mean, he'd been letting up home run after home run after home run. Got shelled by Texas last time. He hung in there for the most part yesterday, right? On the mound today, looks like it's going to be Tanner Houck for the Sox, who finally has a good start. That was against Houston. They end up losing that game pretty poorly, but he held them down through 6 innings, 1 earned run. Only 1 strikeout, though, and 3 walks, so maybe you could take that away as a sign of maybe he's not fully back to what he was prior to the break. On the mound for Texas, I think it's going to be Dane Dunning, which should speak well, in my opinion, to the Red Sox here. He hasn't been all that great in the Red Sox. He is a righty, so the Red Sox have still been crushing righties. My one thing, and honestly, the one of the, I guess, both main pitches for Dunning is going to be the sinker and slider. Sinker, second best last 30 days, runs above average. Boston hitting that sinker. And then the slider, 4th best. So to me, I could look at the Red Sox team total over like we have been doing. I really, it stinks to be a Red Sox fan and be like, Tanner Houck's your ace, and I still am not fully trusting him. But what I will say is -160 right now for the position that Tanner Houck has been in and the position the bullpen has been in. I really don't love that number. So I think the way we do this is looking at the Red Sox team total over instead of saying, hey, go beat Texas. And, again, stinks to say as a Red Sox fan, but I think that that's more of the educated bet way of doing it. The Red Sox also fly to Baltimore tomorrow, which might not be the best spot for them to win this game either, but because they're playing a divisional rival literally tomorrow and having to travel there, right? But overall, I still think they get 5 runs and get out of Dodge because they're going up against a righty that they should be able to hit, right? And a righty in general. Like, saying Red Sox against a righty is still massive here. So overall, give me the Red Sox team total over. I don't mind the full game over either. Like, again, It's Tanner Houck. Can he go out and shove and be great? Yes. I just feel like we haven't totally seen that. And then even still, if Tanner Houck pitches well, we saw it in his last start against Houston. 6 innings pitched, 1 earned run, and then Houston scored, like 6 runs in the 7th, 8th, and 9th inning, something like that. You know what I mean? This Boston bullpen has me shaking in my boots a little bit. So probably for the near future, we're either looking at their team total over, if we are going to bet on their side, the team total over, or like a first 5 type of play, because I think that's the smarter thing to do. All right, Baltimore taking on Washington. Already told you I liked some spots yesterday for some decent money and did not have the balls to pull trigger on it myself. Plus 165 underdog. Washington wins 9-3 yesterday. And I'm kicking myself for it. That would have been pretty big. But we move on. And that might or may not be the last time I mentioned something like that. Because, again, we were spot on with some predictions yesterday. Just have to kick myself for it. Today, on the mound for the Orioles, going to be Dean Kramer going up against DJ Hers. At least those are the projected starters here. DJ Hers has struggled on the road. I will say he's been pretty damn impressive. So even those road starts and those road numbers are kind of skewed, not by non-recent starts. And Dean Kramer's been kind of all over the place. So not that I want to test my luck here, but I don't necessarily think that backing Kramer at this price is all that worth it. We've seen a Baltimore bullpen that's kind of shaky as well. In Washington, if we want to give them credit for anything, they can hit the fastball well, they can hit the cutter well, and they can hit the splitter well. In fact, let's jump into our dashboard that we built here, right? Look at these pitches. Fastball, cutter, and slider from Kramer. The only 3, or, there's 4, but 3 right here, green pitches for Washington in terms of runs above average, fastball, cutter, and splitter. And they're not terrible offensively against righties. They hit lefties better. But overall, it's like, yeah, I mean, you get a bunch of guys on base. You see their power numbers aren't that great, but they're average 13th, not terrible. They don't strike out a lot. But the fact that we have this pitch mix, a guy that hasn't been all that great, going up against a team that hits it fairly well, maybe there is a way that we can get to Washington today. Now, again, are we pushing our luck? Probably, but for me, at this price with Dean Kramer on the mound, I don't think I'm going to be paying minus 185. So if we can get plus 160 for Washington again, I would lean in that direction. Now, I don't know if I want to ruin it for everyone else because, because I didn't play yesterday, the minute I played today, they get smoked like 15-1. But I don't think this is a bad spot. I mean, they've won 3 of their last 4 games. You could say they're playing good baseball. They did play, was it the Angels, right? So it's not like it's all that crazy. But I already mentioned Boston coming to Baltimore tomorrow. Baltimore could be thinking about that series as well, So give me Washington here on the money line. I also like a slight peek at, I guess, their team total over, but I don't have much interest in this one because I'd like to say over because Washington should be able to hit Dean Kramer, right? And that the Orioles do have a good offense overall. But to me, it's like Washington, like I said, could easily have a dud of a game, especially after having sort of an explosion of a game. So I'll lean their team total over, but the real value, much like I mentioned with Pittsburgh, is probably just on potentially a flyer on their money line. Keyword flyer, right? We're taking these plus 170s or even leaning these plus 170s. I'm understanding that is giving it like a, whatever chance to hit, a 40% chance to hit type of thing. I'm saying that the chance of them actually winning may be a little bit greater than that, so that makes it a valuable spot. I don't consider Pittsburgh or Washington the likely team to win, but at the price you're getting them at, you're getting a way more, I guess, likely spot for the price you're getting. Hopefully that makes sense. All right, Cleveland taking on Chicago here. This is a close one. Yesterday, we liked the Cubs and ultimately didn't end up getting that one, but it was a 2-1 game. Assad didn't pitch all that tremendous. I think it was 1-1 for a while, too. So I don't mind the loss there. I think it was a decent look. Wouldn't say great look. They ended up losing, but a decent look. On the mound today is going to be Alex Cobb for Cleveland, who made his debut and did not look all that tremendous for Cleveland. It was 4 2/3, 9 hits, 1 walk, so 10 base runners, only 1 strikeout, 5 runs came in, 4 of them earned. He got the loss. So he didn't look all that tremendous, but you know what? It was his debut. Maybe he'll step it up and be a little bit better. On the mound for Chicago is going to be Jameson Taillon, who I don't really love all that much either. Maybe he has some more of a history this season, and he's been going just because he's has multiple starts, but he's been going bad start, great start, bad start, great start, bad start, great start. He did just have a bad start, so maybe he's due for a great start here. He has in his last 3 meetings against Cleveland, which is dating back a couple of years, so take it with a grain of salt. A 3 flat ERA. In terms of what he's done in his career against them, a 302 average against, a WOBA of 402. Alex Cobb, though, he's only making his second start. He does have 24 plate appearances against this Cubs roster. Take that with a grain of salt as well. It's 24, but it's a little bit more than we have of 1 start, right? 38% K rate, an expected batting average of 135 and an expected WOBA of 172. So maybe you can make an argument that he's going to be pretty good here, but to me, this is such a question mark spot with a guy making his second start of the season. And he did go up against Minnesota in that first start, so like a good team. But overall, still, I don't necessarily want to trust him. So I think I'm going to lean Cubs money line here. I don't love the idea of Tyon. I don't love the idea of their bats, especially against righties. But this is a guy that might not be comfortable yet. He throws a ton of cutters, a ton of splitters, a ton of sinkers, 2 pitches that the Cubs bat pretty well, whereas Tyon throws fastball cutter, and Cleveland's ranked 30th and 29th against those pitches. So give me the Cubs in this spot. I also don't mind the under because both of these clubs just offensively aren't all that tremendous. We saw it yesterday, 2-1. All right, Detroit taking on Seattle, and this is what I mean by we had a rough day yesterday. I liked the first 5 under in this spot. It was one of my favorite plays on the board. We had, who was it, Kirby and Skubal, right? First 5 total was like, well, the one I took was under 4.5. The total ended up coming to like 12. It was like 11-1 after the 5, so yeah, we stunk on that one. But today is a new day. We got Detroit taking on Seattle again. Bo Briesque on the mound for Detroit, going up against Brian Woo, who has not been all that great on the road, but what I will say, throws a ton of fastballs. Detroit does not hit the fastball very, very well, and I honestly kind of want to bet on a bounce-back spot here for Seattle. I don't think that you go and get punked like you did yesterday and say, okay, let's go do that again. That was fun, right? So I think that they come out strong today. They have the starting pitching advantage. I think they have the bullpen advantage. And then, honestly, I think they might have the offensive advantage again today. Or I guess I shouldn't say again, but offensive advantage today. In terms of what I like from a total perspective, I still like the under. Neither one of these offenses, wow me. Sounds silly to say that after the Tigers just put up a football score, but to me, I think it's a bounce-back spot for the Mariners, meaning Brian Woo pitches okay. The bullpen should be okay. Give me under 8 as well as a slight lean here towards the Mariners in the money line. Should have mentioned in that game that that's obviously a bullpen day for the Rays, so Briesque's probably going to give you, 2-3. Then I think Salmons, I've seen, is going to be the primary pitcher, so just FYI, this is a bullpen game for the Rays. So anytime you see one of those starters that with the weird names and kind of the bullpen guys, the Rays kind of, I wouldn't say, I guess they did kind of probably almost start that thing, but Detroit is now doing that a decent amount too, with obviously this move, but it's kind of the Rays move of the bullpen game. So with that said, if you're looking at any player props and whatnot for Seattle, consider looking into them against Salmons versus Briesque. You're probably only getting a couple at-bats at most against him, you know what I mean? And he's a righty. They might have more innings against a lefty, but who knows? All right, Cincinnati taking on St. Louis here on the mound to start the game is going to be Pagan, but who's the primary pitcher for Cincinnati is going to be Carson Spears, going up against Kyle Gibson here for St. Louis. So Spears, don't love him. Don't love Gibson either. I think this would come down to who I believe has the better offense, and I think I'm going to give that nod. It's a slight nod, so don't get carried away with this one, but I think it's a slight nod to the Cincinnati Reds here. I don't care that they're going with an opener and then a primary pitcher. Kyle Gibson, to me, has not really been a guy that I could back. Now, can you make the argument he's been better as of late? Sure, he has one really good start in there that's definitely skewing his ERA within his last 5 down, but last 3 games here, he's gone 5+ innings, 2 earned runs, 4 earned runs, 2 earned runs that was against Tampa Bay, the Cubs, and Washington. So not exactly the best offenses here. And I always tell you guys I only like to bet Cincinnati if it's a guy that throws a lot of fastballs. Kyle Gibson does not really throw fastballs. He goes sinker and cutter way more. So that's why I say this is kind of like a confused look on my face. I like Cincinnati. They're at home. I like them in this spot. They've won both games in the series, though, so maybe it even keeps you off of it more. But to me, they have the better offense, and if these pitchers are going to be equal, whether it's Pagan or Spears, I don't necessarily mind going up against Kyle Gibson. So I'll lean in that direction. I think that the Reds have a slightly better bullpen as well. In terms of the total, I'll say that both these guys, from a pitching perspective, may not have the best days. I know I'm saying the Reds, I like their offense a little bit more, even with the pitch mix kind of hindrance there. But overall, I think that we could see a double digits game if things kind of just go according to plan. We've seen the Reds kind of do their job so far in this series, 6 runs and 4 runs yesterday, right? St. Louis, I would imagine they score a little bit more than that since they're seeing, at first they saw, Abbott and Green. Now they're seeing Spears, right? So they should be able to at least put up a few more. So give me the over as well as Cincinnati in this spot, but we can all be honest, there's a lot of question marks going on in this one, right? Yesterday, Miami wins 5-0 as plus 182 underdogs. Phillies taking on Miami today. On the mound for the Phillies is going to be Tyler Phillips going up against righty Edward Cabrera. I do still think that this Phillies team is bound to kind of return to form. They've been tough, and that's to say the least. But Edward Cabrera does throw a ton of changeups. That's a pitch that the Phillies still in the last 30 days, even though their offense has been struggling, they're hitting really well, 5th best in terms of hitting the changeup, in terms of runs above average in the league last 30. So I don't mind the Phillies to come out there and play a little bit better today. The scary part is, again, it's a righty that we're looking at, so little worrisome for me in Edward Cabrera, but overall, I do think that the Phillies probably bounce back here. Do I like minus 185? Hell no, but they should be pretty fired up, right? Like, if they're not, I don't know what this team doing. A team that is a World Series-esque team has not exactly been playing like a World Series-esque team. They're losing to teams that they should be able to beat too, like yesterday, 5-0. So little worrisome there. Maybe it's a peek at their team total over. You can get that 4.5 right now for decent odds. In fact, let's pull up the live odds right now using Outlier, because you can do that as well. So here I am on the game screen, right? You can head right over here to Phillies. One, you can look at their trends, money line, run line, and then the over. But you can go to match details here and look at team props, whether we want to go first 5 or full game or anything like that. But you can go Phillies runs, right? Over 4.5 right here, minus 125. If we liked this a lot, which we're still going to think about it, we could say, okay, let's dig into it. We can look at what they've done. But ready for this? You can see all the odds. I can go DraftKings. All right, I can either pull it up on my phone or click continue in browser, and it's going to put that right into my DraftKings slip, so I don't have to go digging for it. So if I was logged in right now, I could go boom, boom, place it just like that. So I think that that's be the way that we play it, because that allows Tyler Phillips, who's pitching for the Phillies, who I'm not exactly overly fond of, even though I'm probably being a little too critical, because he's had good starts, but he's had horrible starts as well. I don't have to trust him. I don't have to trust anything other than the Phillies hopefully being able to bounce back against a righty, as well as hitting that changeup. So can they hit a righty? That's still up in the air, but I love the fact that he's going to throw a ton of changeups, and that's a pitch that they do like to hit. So if they can kind of get to that, maybe this sends them down the right path of getting back good baseball. In terms of a total, I don't want to trust the Miami Marlins to score a bunch of runs. They scored 5 yesterday. I think that this game could flip, and it'd be like a game where the Phillies do their job offensively and the Marlins barely show up. So I'm going to stick away from the full game over. I'd much rather, like I already mentioned, the Phillies team total over. All right, Tampa Bay taking on Houston. We have Ronel Blanco on the mound for Houston, going up against Zach Littell for Tampa Bay here. Yesterday, Houston does win 3-2. We had them team total over 3.5. That does not come through, obviously. We have a recent game of Ronel Blanco here against Tampa Bay. He went 5 innings pitched, 7 strikeouts, 2 walks, 6 hits, so 8 base runners, only 2 earned runs, though. But they lose 6-1. But it was not really his doing, right? And then we also have a recent game for Littell here, who pitched really well against Houston. So back on August 3rd, 5 2/3, 4 hits, 1 walk, 3 strikeouts, and then 1 earned run, 13 pitches per inning. So 2 guys that actually did fare really well against their opposition, and we stayed very, very recently. Now you could take that in one of 2 directions. Oh, the offenses just saw them, they're going to be better, and all that. I don't, at least in the case of the Rays, who still are struggling to hit righties. Ronel Blanco happens to pitch from the righty side, right? So even though he's had a little bit of an issue on the road this season, I like the fact that he's already pitched really well against them. And I think that that's going to bode well for, the Houston pitching and defense, and Tampa Bay not scoring many runs. So I like Houston again on the money line here. I don't mind Tampa Bay's team total under if we can get it at. In fact, I can check that really quickly again, because if we can get this at 4.5, which I'm not sure it will be, the total's at 8, so it'll be 3.5. That might be a little worrisome, because I think they probably score 3 runs at, maybe at most today. So I guess scratch that. If you can get it at a higher number for whatever reason on your book, I don't mind that, because I think Blanco and the bullpen should be able to fare pretty well today. And that same sort of thing may be true on the flip side as well. We just saw Littell pitch well against this Houston team, and we haven't really seen Houston's offense. Well, I guess we did see them come back down to form yesterday, right? So if you believe that, that's the outlier game, then maybe you stick away from an under. But I do lean towards the under. But if you believe that, what we saw in Boston and then that first game in Tampa Bay, maybe that was the fad and they're going to kind of get back to scoring, the 3-4 runs, then I don't mind the under here. But I do think that Houston money line could be the potential play today, just because it's a righty against Tampa Bay, and Ronel Blanco just saw them. I don't think that they learned a bunch and that type of thing. So give me them on the money line as my favorite play here. Mets, Oakland, it was a an underdog money line game yesterday. I said Paul Blackburn may be able to pitch well against his old team. He went 4 innings, did not look all that great, and shout out to a lot of people in the comments who saw that coming. So that's what I always tell you guys. You guys know better than me plenty of the time. Today, the odds are a little crazy. Minus 185 here for the Mets. On the bump, we have David Peterson going up against Joey Estes. Though I think that the Mets probably win this game, I think the plus 160 play is probably a move for the Athletics. And I say the Mets probably win because they've lost 4 straight. They're going up against the Athletics. I mentioned yesterday what a better spot to kind of get back and bounce back. They didn't. So I still expect that type of thing to happen. But yeah, the A's have won 5 of their last 7. Can't really take too much credit away from them, but to me, this should be a Mets spot. But minus 185 is going to make me not touch it with a 10-foot pole. In terms of a total here, I like the under. I think we could see a little bit of a different game than yesterday. 9-4 yesterday, right? I think this is probably more of a 4-3 game, something like that. Not necessarily because of the pitching, but again, I think that these A's are due to come back down to earth after a couple great games. And then let's look at what the Mets have done recently, right? 4 runs yesterday, great. But then before that, it was 1-0-0. Like, yes, Seattle has way better pitching, and yes, they were in Seattle, but to me, their offense still isn't firing. So if this is a 4-3 game, even like a 5-2 game, we cash an under. All right, White Sox taking on the Yankees. The Yankees did bounce back yesterday. Cortez pitched well, 4-1. They didn't do it in Yankees fashion of scoring like 6 runs. So I still think that like the White Sox have the momentum here. They won 12-2 in game number 1, and then the Yankees, big bad Yankees come back and win 4-1. Okay, but in this spot here today, obviously I do think it's still a Yankee spot. Martin on the mound for the White Sox going up against Warren for the Yankees, so nothing that I'm like thrilled with, but maybe a Yankees team total over could be in the cards today. Like I said, yesterday they didn't do it. I still think that they're due against a White Sox bad team, bullpen starting, all that and the like. I think that they could have easily a game in which they score that 6, 7, 8 type of runs at some point, and we're running out of opportunities to do it, aka today is the day for them to have that opportunity to do it. So I like them in that spot. That obviously leans towards a slight lean towards the over as well, or leads toward a slight lean on the over if I think that they're going to have a good offensive day. So, yeah, keep an eye on the pinned comment. I could convince myself today of a Yankees team total over. All the pitches we're going to see from Davis Martin, they should be able to hit pretty damn well. So, yeah, don't mind that spot. All right, Milwaukee taking on the Dodgers. Watching back yesterday's video, I just made the wrong choice with the stat about Colin Rea. I took his over in walks. I said it's a fade Rea day. And I was going to figure out a way to fade him. I did fade him in literally the only category that he did not implode in. So I should have taken his earned runs, his innings, his hits, any of that. We didn't. We took his walks, and he had 0 walks. So there was a little slap in the face. Today on the mound, we have Frankie Montas going up against Walker Buehler here in this spot. Frankie Montas, so far with this new squad, hasn't been terrible. He hasn't been great, but I'd say he's a little bit better than at his recent starts with the Reds. So I don't want to give him too much credit or give him a big spot here against a Dodgers team. But to me, I just kind of give him a little bit of credit, not too much though. Walker Buehler worries me to some degree, right? Not exactly the guy that I want to be to starting here in this spot. But overall, this is still a Dodgers team and a Dodgers offense that we're seeing in the last couple games here, or last few games, right? That they may be back scoring a bunch of runs, and this Milwaukee team has slowed down. So if you're going to give me the Dodgers at this price tag, which right now, minus 125 on FanDuel, they've won 8 of their last 10. They've won 5 straight. I don't mind the spot. And I guess based on that, I don't mind the over either. Like, hell, what if the Milwaukee Brewers do return to what they were doing just a couple of games ago and scoring a bunch of runs? Then we're going to have a high-scoring game, right? So I'll lean towards the over as well. Neither one of these pitchers screams, I'm going to shut you down today. You know what I mean? Especially Frankie Montas in his career against the Dodgers. 91 plate appearances against, a K rate of 11%, a walk rate of 12%. Guys, guess what? If you don't know baseball, let me inform you that a walk rate higher than a K rate ain't all that great. But an expected batting average against of 319 and an expected WOBA against of 440 and then an expected slugging of 630. So I think the Dodgers could have a decent run game today, even though I gave Montas a little bit of credit there. All right, we got the Angels taking on the Jays. Anderson on the mound for the Angels, going up against Jose Barrios here for the Jays. Toronto ends up winning 6-1 yesterday. Both of their pitchers so far in these games, Bowden Francis went 7 innings, and then Kevin Gausman went 7 innings. Does Jose Barrios go 7 innings? Well, he has in 2 of his last 3 starts. So if he goes 7 innings, I like Toronto today. But to me, I don't really like this spot overall. Like, I'm not saying that I really want to go and back the Angels, but it's kind of a weird line. Like, you have a team that's been getting beat, and now essentially it's a pick 'em today. Like, we're giving Tyler Anderson that much credit. It is a Wednesday, so it's obviously going to be important to keep an eye on the lineup. Is there some guys out of this Toronto lineup right now? I'm seeing all their normal guys, but to me, something smells like a trap with that line based on, obviously the first 2 games of the series, the way the pitchers have been against us, the way the offense is kind of lacked for the Angels, and we're still seeing them as slight home favorites. So little fishy there. I don't mind either side of this one. I guess based on that line, I don't want to fall victim to the trap, so I'll lean towards the Angels. I also don't mind the under because if Barrios pitches well, like he has been great, but the reason or the way I think the Angels would win this game is if they, keep the Blue Jays offense suppressed. So I'll lean towards the under. But guys, it's a Wednesday, weird Wednesday, right? This could be a trap type of a line. Like it just doesn't make all that much sense to me. We saw similar things in games 1 and 2 in terms of the line, but still the Angels were the small underdogs, right? Now they're favorites after losing 2, which maybe they just had the pitching advantage today. That could be simple enough, but to me, seems like a trap, especially after the first 2 games. So I will try to avoid that. Give me the Angels on the money line and then the game total under. All right, San Fran taking on Atlanta. It's been Atlanta so far in this series. 1-0 win on the back of Chris Sale. Then Charlie Morton goes 6 yesterday. I believe he went 6. They win 4-3. Today we have Robbie Ray on the mound going up against Grant Holmes. I've had my choice words about Robbie Ray because there's a bunch of people in the comments being like, what do you mean he's not that good? He's a former Cy Young winner. And I'm like, yes, that hadn't pitched in 2 years. I gave the whole spiel. He's been fairly consistent, not like a get on my back, I'm going to take you to the promised land type of a pitcher, but has Grant Holmes really been like that? I wouldn't necessarily say that either. You know what I mean? So this is a tough spot here. In terms of the money that we're looking at, plus 106 for the Braves, minus 110 for San Francisco. I kind of like the idea of, San Francisco winning this game, but the Braves have been the better team. They have the better bullpen. I'm almost thinking for plus money, we got to kind of consider the Braves here in this spot, right? But I can be completely honest with you guys. I don't think that this one makes its way into being a final play because of that bullpen, and the way the Braves have won these last 2. Now, Chris Sale gave him a lot of leeway, but overall, these guys have been pitching like you read about out of their bullpen. San Francisco's a little taxed as well, but I consider that a huge advantage for Atlanta. And if they don't have that massive advantage fully, right, I don't necessarily love it as much, but it is a plus money play. So if this were to drop into any of the negative odds or even odds, I don't think I'd like it as much. But as of right now, and yes, we're splitting hairs here, it's plus 106. I don't mind a Braves team that may be kind of kicking it into gear. They were terrible. They lost like 6 straight games, and then they won 3 of their last 4, including 2 straight in this series. San Francisco is the opposite. They won like 5 of their last 6 or 6 of their last 7, something like that, and then has dropped 3 straight. So you have one team that may be going up, one team going down. I'd rather trust the plus money for the team that's going up. In terms of the total, we've seen low-scoring games so far. Who's to say something changes here? I'll lean towards the under as well. But guys, it's going to wrap it up for today's show. Hope you guys did enjoy. If you did, you know what to do. Hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button as well. NFL news, we got some great stuff on the way. So if you guys don't know Head to Head, the show that I do with Tassos, where we battle it out each and every week, that is coming very soon. We have a futures episode in the works right now, and then we'll get into week 1, obviously, when NFL happens. And then we're also going to have a Guy Boston Sports Survivor pool for some real money this year. It's not just going to be like a little chump change free to enter. It's going to be like a $10 entry fee. Everyone can join. I think you can have multiple entries, and yeah, we'll do that. We might do some more contests over there. So a lot of news to come for the NFL. Probably should have said that at the beginning of this video so more people see it, but you know what? If you're watching now, appreciate you, and you'll be one of the first ones to know now that we're doing some pretty cool NFL stuff coming up. But guys, that's it for me today. Enjoy your Wednesdays. Hopefully we have a little bit better of a Wednesday than we did Tuesday, because that stunk. But I'll catch you guys in the next one, all right? Peace out.